and a very warm welcome to this session. And this session is on World Cafe, shaping our futures through conversations that matter. Uh, World Cafe is a training technology. Some of you may have experienced it, but definitely today we are going to experience it in an online mode. And the objective of this session is to share with you the insights of the founders of this training technology, the World Cafe, and they have written a book also. And it is by Juanita Brown and David Isaacs. Uh, this technology is really to capture conversations. If you look at training as a process, or if you look at an organization, uh, what is happening all the time in an organization? Either there is conversation which is happening, or there is conversation which is not happening, right? And it is not as if conversations do not happen. Hmm? But the point is, how do these conversations happen? Very often what happens is that the top management has a few people whom they call in for conversations, and the rest of the voices get completely lost. Now the danger in that is that whenever we are looking or tackling at any key issue in an organization, because you do not have an overall perspective of every person, the other people, they fall silent. But do they really fall silent? No. They form their own silos. And particularly when I was working in an organization, I used to say, if you want to really get the feel of the organization, you need to go to the badminton court, or you need to go to the canteen, or you need to just sit and have tea with people at informal settings. And that's where you will truly get a feel of how people are thinking about the organization, not in formal meetings, right? So conversations are very important. A single conversation can change our lives, and we have all experienced it. Right now, what we are going to do is that we are going to experience the World Cafe method, which is built on the assumption that people already have within them the wisdom and creativity to confront even the most difficult challenges, that the answers that we need are available with us, and that we are wiser together than we are alone. So, as the name suggests, this is where you have large groups, and a cafe-like atmosphere is created by having groups of 4 or maximum 5 people. And on any key topic, the discussion is held between those 3 or 4 people for 20 minutes, and 3 rounds of that happen. Now, in round 1, please pay careful attention because you're going to start the activity very soon. In round 1, the question is posed to one particular table, and they discuss the perspectives on it. Uh, because of the shortage of time, I've kept the discussion time only as 15 minutes. At the end of 15 minutes, you are going to choose one person who is going to be the host of your table. The rest of the people will move to different tables. That is not, if you're 4 of you, it is not that all 3 will move to table 2, but you will move to different tables. And then the second round will be conducted, and then the third round will be conducted. Now, when the people come to the second round, the host of the table who has remained behind from the first round is going to share with them the key points of the discussion around the topics which I'm going to give you just now. And then this group for 15 minutes is going to build on that topic by sharing their perspectives on it. And that's how the concept will start getting larger. And then in the last round, the third group will share on the same topic. And then the host of the table will come back. We will all come back to the larger group. And then you will share the key points that were discussed around the topic. Now, how will you record it? I think a good way, but I also leave the choice to you. A good way would be probably to simultaneously prepare a PowerPoint if you wish to, or I don't know, I leave it to the group to decide, but it is for you to decide. The etiquette of the cafe is very important. You have to focus on the topic, contribute your thinking, speak with your mind and heart, listen to understand, link and connect ideas, listen together for insights, patterns, and deeper questions, and do it in a fun way, because it is meant to create an exact environment as is done in a cafeteria. You can write as you're speaking, you can doodle, you can draw, you can listen, but just be yourself. The role of the host is important. The host is also a participant, but the host will try to maintain the energy level of the group, to spur it when there is a lull, to encourage balanced participation, to remain at the table when others go to other tables, and to encourage people to jot down their ideas and make connections. What the host should not do is that the host should not over facilitate. It is not that people are not listening to all the other voices, only the host is going on kata, 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 and going on speaking so that there's no time for other people. And then we will have a plenary wrap-up session where you will share. So normally this is how a large group is broken up, and this is how it looks. You know, there is a joyful cafe-like atmosphere where tables are set up like in a restaurant, and people very happily discuss and they have a conversation where they are able to share their perspective. So the questions that we are going to form, you have 20 people. Alok, do I see 20 people? Hello, Alok?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there 20 people in the group today?
Ma'am, 19.
There are 19. So if we divide them into groups of 4, yes. So who is the table host of group 1?
Anupam will be the host for group 1.
Okay. So Alok, and in group 2, who is the host?
I'm one of the hosts, but I'm not sure which group is it, ma'am. I didn't get the name. I just joined it. I'm sorry.
Which,
I'm Hemant.
what, huh?
I was.
Not the group leader. Then you get to know a lot many more things.
Yeah.
As a group leader, you're stuck in that same breakout room.
Yeah.
Yeah, well
No,
said,
but-
Anupam ji. I agree with you.
So, ma'am, you have given me the opportunity of staying in one room itself.
Is that Hemant speaking?
Yes, yes, yes.
Hemant, I didn't realize the dynamics of this game.
Who is the group leader, Hemant or Divya?
So you are
Um,
son, Hemant, you are stationary. You are like a son. S-U-N.
But for others, it is सही में ज्ञान बांटने से बढ़ रहा है.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an interesting exercise, ma'am.
Yeah, and we also realize, ma'am, what you meant by saying that, दूसरों का सुनो, बहुत difficult होता है.
Especially when you are in HR, it's very difficult to comprehend someone's views also.
And you have so many things to say that you will get, यार मुझे भी बोलने दो.
Actually, हम लोग third round नहीं कर रहे हैं, but
Right, ma'am.
otherwise the leaders could have been changed in the third round. But because of paucity of time, and I just wanted to give you a feel of what World Cafe is.
So how does it end, ma'am, after this?
And we will do, na, let everyone come back. I will show you how it will end. I'll do the whole process.
Has all
Everyone
the
is back,
groups
ma'am.
ended yet?
Everybody is not back.
Ma'am, excuse me. I have a query, ma'am, regarding the World Cafe, ma'am. Ma'am, do we actually
minute.
choose the?
No, hold on. First, is everybody back?
Yeah,
I'll
yes,
give you
everybody is
time.
there.
Okay, I'll give you time for asking questions in the end. I don't see everybody here. All right.
20
And I think some left, some dropped in between.
Earlier, how many it was?
21,
Now it's
now
20.
20 only.
Yeah, 20.
One guy-
Probably has dropped. Only one person.
Only
Oh,
one
okay,
person.
Okay, fine. I think I needed to widen my screen. So, can I request the leader of Group 1 to share with all of us that what was the topic that you discussed and what were the main perspectives that came out as a result of your discussion in the 2 rounds?
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm Anupam Sharma. As the designated leader of Group 1, the topic that was given to us was the changing landscape of business scenario and evolving and its impact on the evolution of methodology of training and its consequent impact on the adult learning. This was primarily what was given to us. So it had 3 different parts. One was what is the changing landscape of the business scenario, then as to how it's impacting the methodology of training, and then how is this affecting the adult learning methodologies. As far as the business scenario is concerned, already even before the unexpected event of COVID struck us, the business was changing due to varying factors, primarily being the technology. We were already going in from what were earlier the vertical organizations to more flatter organizations where there were lesser number of hierarchical levels. Now with the COVID, certain seminal changes took place as far as the organization was concerned. It gave rise to certain amount of workforce challenges. It gave rise to workplace challenges, the fund flow challenges, the entire ecosystem of doing business changed. Whether it was your customer management, whether it was your vendor-based management, everything has changed. The supply chain management became an issue. And all this, coupled with the changes in the technology, brought about the necessity for reskilling of your workforce. In addition to this, the changed business scenario, the way it impacted your methodology of training From a face-to-face training or the conventional methodology of training, the online training became a more important one. This in itself had certain amount of challenges. There were capacity constraints. The telecom sector is not adequately geared up uniformly at all places to support online learning. The facets for online learning like computers, tablets are not uniformly available to everyone. Now the learning, the evolving method of learning meant that training has become more impersonal in nature. Earlier, there was a lot of emphasis on collaborative training with the subordinates learning from their immediate line seniors and so on and so forth. That has reduced because it is every man to himself. Now, another issue that came up with this as far as the businesses were concerned was the integrity of data. Earlier, in a business environment, when people were sitting as part of a team, the organization ensured the integrity of data. This is more applicable for the technology-oriented companies and not so much for the manufacturing companies. But now that integrity of the data will pose different kind of challenges. As far as training is concerned, transfer of learning was another challenge because it is becoming more difficult for the trainer to assess whether as to what is the transfer that has taken place as far as the learning values were concerned. Training has become need-based. Now, as far as the adult learning is and the challenges are concerned, it is earlier also adult learning was more voluntary in nature. That has further got reinforced. It is now based on what job the individual was doing and how his particular sector is changing. The necessity to change has to come from within, and therefore it has become more and more need-based. Self-learning has become very important. The thing has become trainee-centric with flexible timings and flexible places. Safety protocols have become important, and as far as the adults are concerned, the people primarily who are on the wrong side of 30s and into their 40s, knowledge of e-learning platforms and the online platforms has become a necessity. And that is going to be a very major challenge as far as the adult learning is concerned. And connected with this is the safety from the physical safety aspects. You have now moved on to the virtual safety aspects, which are entirely different. So they throw up entirely different challenges as far as people are concerned. This is the gist of what was discussed in the two roundtables that we had.
You are on mute, ma'am.
मैडम आप म्यूट हैं.
Ma'am, you are muted.
Okay. So very big round of applause to this group. That's what I said. And I think that you brought out very well all the dimensions that needed to have been brought out. And I also ask you that how did you feel as your group changed from table 1 to table 2? Did it make a difference, or was it the same points being repeated again and again?
Ma'am, bulk of the issues were common, but with the change of participants, every participant brings a different point of view. And that different point of view taken correctly leads to more learning. So the more the number of people, the more the points of view that you get.
So it did help to have the shift. You got some new points to discuss with each other. Is that correct? Yeah, wonderful. That's very nice. And now can I request group 2, the leader, to share the points like Anupam had shared in the same way?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have made a PPT, you can even share your PPT.
No, ma'am.
Can they do it? Hello? No. They can't do it.
we are unable to make PPT, ma'am. We just discussed and write it out points.
Okay, fine. All right. Please share.
I will tell you in first breakout zone room, we discussed that it's basically learning multi-generational learning styles, right, ma'am? In that group, we discuss about the mindset that that young people have a mindset for a learning in compared to at a higher age. First thing was that then old age, they have learned through lectures, ma'am. So they will prefer of lectures, but new generation like to do experience things. They believe in experiencing, they believe in games. So it was this, there was a not very big discussion in first breakout zone. Then I moved to second, and with these points I have explained these points like mindset, age difference, different learning styles for different peoples. Then we started from older age. Then initially we find that older age are not ready to change. They are not much adaptable as compared to young generation. But when we take examples of our parents, then we find out that they are learning how to use mobile. They are learning how to use different clothing styles. And then after some time, we realize that they are also good in adaptability. The only thing that we need to find out the right way. Like my parents will not learn from me, but they will learn from my son. The same way, they will not learn by themselves. But if their colleagues or the person whom they are going into the walk in a park, so they will learn from them. Like my father was not familiar with the mobile, but now because his all friends are using, so he starts learning. He is now using WhatsApp. He is using now YouTube. So we concluded that it is not that they don't want to learn. It is they want to learn from selective people, not from everyone. So that selective learning we discovered that different age has a different way of learning. So this point was very well discovered. And area of interest, ma'am, we find out that they will learn only those things which are their requirements, and they feel that it is interested for me. So this we have example the learn, ma'am, and learning from selective. Different age we have different. Yes, we also find out that at different age we have a different learning styles, different learning needs also. Like at the age of 25, no one will move to mythology or spirituality. But when somebody enters into 40s, he starts learning about the spirituality. Not complete, but selective learning starts from there. So selective learning is happening, and people want to learn, but they have they have some selective people from whom they want to learn. This is all the points which we have discussed. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So basically the main points which came up was that there are, every generation has a learning need, but it just depends. And the younger learners are more independent learners, and they like to go in for gamification process, and the older generation is more open to learning through lectures. Can we have group 3 share their perspectives?
Yes, ma'am. It's there. I would like to just share a PPT in case it is allowed.
Yes, of course, please share. I have to do stop share, no? Then you can share.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 minute. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Let me work on. Though it is not so much of formatted, so do bear with us, but I didn't want to miss out any point, so I thought I must share each individual's contribution. So this is the start of the presentation. It was a great team. I think we had totally in first group, we had 4 of us. Just give me a time. Yeah, so these were some of the points which came. So as you can see, the first column, which must be visible at the moment, I'll show column by column. This is mine. So a few points came from my end. The topic was the trader's role in perspective, and just a moment. Okay. trainer's role in perspective and development. So the first role, which I thought he has to be a interest generator. Then just a moment, I think the format is getting lost. Just a moment. Okay. So he has to be interest generator. The content has to be according to the diverse group and according to the learning objectives. Supporting his role is really very supportive for the organization and has to be a real value for it. He has to be a competence builder because he has to find the gaps off and on. And the expectation for the stakeholders at the top management as well as for participant has to be very clearly set by a trainer. So now the virtual world is the virtual way of training is about to come, and it is already going on. So new ways and learning new software and processes is really important for a trainer in current perspective. So these were some of the points which came out, but then we had the second team member, Rishu, who actually brought about the engagement of learner by anticipating the need is the real need of the hour because it's all virtual. And the communication has to be very clear and very specific. And the example which the trainer has to use, he has to give a real life situations. And sometimes over learning might be required for some of the content. So content choice has to be very deliberately selected. And of course, the past learning which the participant have, the trainer has the capability, has to have that capability to build on that past learning. And he has to be a visionary kind of a person who has to create a lot of interest and vision in the participant as well. So these were some of the points which came up from Rishu. Then we have Pushpa Madam, who actually touched very uniquely on the psychological anxiety dealing is the important need of the trainer. Then Rohit we had in the first team, who actually made that communication has to be very simple. And whatever the trainer do in today's perspective, he has to be a orientation towards the organization goals and objectives. Everything has to be according to that. And the career oriented is something which has to be generated by a trainer. The trainer has to be himself as well as participant. He has to make himself future ready. And the developments and knowledge building and continuous improvement has to be there in the trainer in current perspective. So this was the new first team outcomes, a few points. But the second team was little more deliberative in the sense that they had much more points. I keep on writing it down. The table went on shooting out of my columns, rows and rows. Arvind was the first person who built up many points to start with. Not only the trainer, he is also a strategic partner. So this was something which I really liked as an input, and he aligned the resources. He has to build on the competencies. A trainer has to be with the CEO as a strategic partner. Higher goals can be achieved then only. And the organization not bind to traditional ways, the trainer, he has to revamp himself, because now the ways of working, the trust and the collaboration has everything has got changed. So trainer has to create now a parallel way to lead the world. So actually this was something which came out from Arvind's side. And if I don't miss some more points, he also touched upon the sustainability of the business. As a trainer, it's our responsibility. And the trainer has to be agile, adaptable, and visionary. So, and he is the one who has to provide a conducive environment to the learner. So he has a big role as a trainer. Then Divya actually came up with a very relevant point of technology. It is the techno man, actually, the trainer, because he has to be a self-paced learner. He can give the training. Can give the training with technology, trainer-centric training. And something more important came up, that technology has to be there, but then the budget should not be lost at the back of mind. He is a dynamic man of the current time. He's a hero in the today's world. So Divya wanted to focus on technology importance. So he is the person who has to equip himself with the latest technology in a current perspective. Then coming up with Benita, very mature, good points came up from her as well, that he has to, just a moment, friends. He has to be seen as an investment because he is, okay, just a moment. Yeah, actually I could not format in that time, so I am unable to give you that point. But yes, what Benita actually spoke about, that as a stakeholder, there may be in organization many of them. So a trainer has to identify the needs, talking and with the stakeholders of all the departments, so that he gets the need in the right time and he works on it. The actual ROI is the need of the time. The trainer has to build real value, and he in the organization is seen as an expert. So he has to have that expertise. So these were the small points which came up. But then if I can just everybody's takeaway, it is great highlighted words, worthy words which came up. A trainer, we are far beyond strategic input. He has a vision, a strategic partner. He is an investment. A trainer has to build a value. Technology evolved, so we have to look into that. He has to identify the needs of the stakeholders. He is the one who drives the actual ROI and as per the need of time with his training inputs, right selection. He is the one who is conducive. He has to sustain the business. He has to be agile. He has to be adaptable. He has to be a competency builder, finding the gaps, engaging and anticipating the needs of participants, the company, the stakeholders. He has to have a good communication, a clear and specific. He has to have objective and goal orientation. And of course, he should be future ready. So thank you, friends. I think the entire, these were the final takeaways.
Thank you, Ritu. Thank you very much. And now we have the last group. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, our challenge was to talk about the evolving training techniques on the online platform, and how probably the adult learning can be included into it. So, ma'am, we'll start with the basic one. Like in the year 2000, I mean, the major difference between 2019 and 2020 is about the acceptability of the online learning. Earlier, like it was kind of a thing like, okay, we may not do it, but now it's not a point. It is the acceptability that has increased over the last few months, like 4, 5 months, 3 months times, it has increased a lot. So the mindset has changed for the people, those who are in the decision making, whether the e-learning is helpful or not. But we don't, I mean, in the current scenario, we don't have any other option but to go with the e-learning module in case we want to increase the competency and the skill set, and as well as the knowledge for the employees. So that one thing is there, sir. And now the major difference, not the major difference, but the difference, or let's say that the segregation between the online training is on 2 factors. One is the trainer centric, and the other is the selective the employee centric, or let's say the individual centric. So like there are sort of a lot of things which are coming in when we discuss about the self-paced training, the flexibility, the customization, and the interest driven. When we talk about the self-paced or this individual training, that one is into it. Whereas the training, the trainers driven training are basically still more within the perspective of time, and there is not much of flexibility in terms of timing and the pace that one has to select or one has to go with. So these are the certain challenges that probably new online trainings, etc., or the developers have to come across, or to have to develop a system where the trainer-driven trainings are also more flexible in nature. And when we discussed about there are certain models that we have learned throughout the last 4 or 5 months with ISTD about the VAK model, etc., there are certain challenges that not all models can be applicable on the online on the online front. Like there are certain modules or certain aspects. Let's say, ma'am, the assessment part, or the putting into the picture, or using those values, or using those trainings probably may not be there in the online virtual platform. So these are the few challenges that I mean, still online is a very progressive in nature right now, and things have, because of the COVID and all, there is a disruption right now, and they are probably more proactive on developing more platforms which are more helpful to the employees, or let's say to the individual. And then, ma'am, we discussed about like trainers also getting accustomed to it, because so far there has been more of one-way approach where the trainer will come even on the online platform and do the trainings. Now it has to be incorporated that certain the values, whether there has been a benefit or not to the employee, or whether the actual implications, etc., has been taken into consideration while designing the training program, online training program. So this is very much progressive in nature. And of course, ma'am, with the online training, new training modules coming up, there is a cost benefit analysis also is there. Whether we negotiate on the number of licenses, or whether we negotiate on number of time based, whether we use it like either the number of licenses or the time based. So the cost effectiveness will also be there. And there was a very beautiful point raised, which talks about giving the opportunity or creating a lighthouses. Instead of going out for the external training, probably this is the time where we can create our own module on the online, our own websites, if the company has the resources to put it on. And we can give the the specialized or the SMEs, the subject master expertise, to come up on the online and do the training for their own employees through the online mode itself. Not only that will reduce the costing part, that will also motivate the employees, as well as this will create a future lighthouses and will help the organizations to reduce the costing, which is really the concern for the organization right now when we talk about especially the training and development, ma'am. And this being a new platform, ma'am, so this is basically the online module is basically a progressive in nature. And online modules, ma'am, they may not be able to cover all the sectors. Like, for example, ma'am, like someone who's working on the shop floor directly on the machines. So online trainings may not be able to cover everything, because the cost of generating such platforms will be too huge and will be very complicated. And even with respect to the safety and the hazardous nature of the machines, that may not be feasible to use online methodology for certain sectors. So this was the basic takeaways, that this is a progressive in nature. The new online modules are progressive in nature, and we have to find a methodology within the online structure to not only reduce the cost, but also to make it more effective and see whether the learnings are incorporated in the daily working or not, ma'am.
So thank you very much. I thank all the group members for having participated so wholeheartedly and so beautifully summarized. I think that when we look at the entire discussion, the key point that would really come out of this is that the world of training is changing, and that we have a different role to play, and all the methodologies that we may have learned so far have to be tweaked, and everything may not be now possible to be taught in the online mode. And I think that it was such a rich conversation around the changing world of training. So many of the methodologies also which you would have learned over this period of time, you would have found that there is a complete change in the whole thing. This was meant to be a facilitators, trainers cafe. That's how I titled it. And now we come to the topic of how to use World Cafe methodology to engage diverse groups of stakeholders. So after this experience, I don't think it should be very much difficult for you to do so. But I will still go through the steps with you. That it's a very simple, effective, and flexible format for hosting large group dialogue. Each element of the method has a specific purpose and corresponds to one or more of the design principles. Now, the first thing is that it helps you to get collective knowledge exchange, and therefore a very safe environment for sharing. And how do you create safety? By not being judgmental about anybody's point of view and allowing everybody to speak. It is informal in nature. So if you had been in a physical world, it would have actually been having a tablecloth, having a flower vase in between. It would have been having tea, coffee, and it would have been like a cafe. So what is important to prepare in advance is the topic of interest, and then to have 3 to 5 specific questions or burning issues for discussion. The questions have to be simple enough and they must be explained in 2-3 minutes. The World Cafe can be modified to meet a variety of needs. Specifics of context, number, purpose, location, and other circumstances are factored into the design. But what is unnegotiable is, one is the setting, that for and not more than 5 people. You can have a tablecloth. Now they are saying that it can be checkered or white linen or block print or colored pens and vases. But basically it's a paper tablecloth so that people are able to note down their ideas, to doodle, and to take notes. And 4 chairs, be clear about what you want to achieve, welcome the participants, make it a very hospitable cafe like atmosphere which puts people to ease, explore questions that matter, not just anything. And then you have about 3 rounds. So I cut the 3rd round for you because we were running into a time zone. And each one is of 20 minutes, and the table host is chosen at the end of the round. And in the 2nd round, the table host can also change and go to the 3rd round. It's important to encourage everyone's contribution like you did. And in fact, there was one group, Ritu's group, which acknowledged the points of everyone and then summarized the points. But each group, I think, did almost the same thing without mentioning it differently. It is important to connect diverse perspectives and not fight about diverse perspectives. Because when I went in the initial round, I found people arguing, and then I had to tell them, no, it's okay to have different points of views. We need to listen to one another, and listening helps us to form patterns and listen for what is shared and listen for what is not shared. So there is a very interesting article in HBR which says that is silence killing your organization. So what happens in silence? I'm done. So basically the important thing is to keep the conversation going and to ensure that everyone gets to hear. Now, words and conversations are very important, and Dr. Daisaku Ikeda says that I believe that sincere one-to-one conversation can soften and melt even hearts that are completely frozen. By talking with someone face to face, you can actually change that person's life and your own. Today, we live in the midst of flood of soulless information. And the more we rely on one-way communication like radio or TV or static and unmoving words in print, the more I feel the need to stress the value of the sound of human voice. The simple but precious interaction of voice and voice, person and person, and exchange of life with life. And I think that World Cafe allowed you methodology, allows for this to happen, and it can be performed on the Zoom platform as we all saw. So thank you very much, and till we meet again. Thank you.